In today's video I'm going to talk about a couple concepts, namely locus of control, causality and responsibility. Let's kick it off with locus of control. Locus of control is a psychological attributional style. A psychological attributional style is basically how you attribute things that happen to you. For instance, how you explain when something is happening to you, what caused it basically. And with locus of control you have two different types of locus of control. You have an internal and an external locus of control, and with an internal locus of control you attribute things that happen to you to yourself, like something happened to me because I caused it to happen. That's an internal locus of control. And with an external locus of control you say, well, this and this happened because of something in the environment, something external to me. When applying the idea of locus of control to self-change, when you have an internal locus of control, you say, I can bring about a change. It comes from the inside. The change comes from me putting myself out there and bringing about a change. Whereas in the external locus of control, you say, this change will be dependent upon environmental factors and basically what happens to me from the outside, and me changing is a result of outside influences. Now obviously in any change internal as well as external factors have an influence, and it's important to realize that it isn't just the internal or the external that's causing something to change. And this brings us to the topic of causality. There is no such thing as one cause for anything. And to understand this idea a little bit better, let me describe an example. When I have a flower inside of my garden, I could say I caused that flower to be there because I planted that seed over there. But that doesn't say much, because it isn't just the fact of me putting a seed in the ground that's going to cause a flower to grow into the beautiful thing that's now sitting in my garden. There's a lot of things that caused the flower to be there. For instance, what if it hadn't rained, hadn't rained, or what if there was no sunshine, or if there would be no earth, or what if there wouldn't be any minerals inside of the soil, then the flower couldn't grow. So you can't say just one act or just one condition caused that flower to be there. What is more accurate to say is that when certain conditions are present, the process of flower growth tends to happen. And a number of these conditions are sun, water in the form of rain, nutrients in the soil, and me taking good care of the flower inside of my garden. All these things help to facilitate the growth of that flower. And I think it's the same with the growth and the self-change in a human being. What is vital to realize in this whole little example is that you do have control within this process. Sure, you may not have any control over those outside conditions like rain and sunshine, but you do have control over learning certain types of skill, like gardening. You can learn about the flower, how you can take good care of it, so chances are as large as possible that it will grow into a beautiful flower. The key to control is that you have to take it. It doesn't happen by itself. You have to make a conscious decision to learn these types of things and to commit yourself to the flower and to the flower's growth. Else nothing's gonna happen. It's a deliberate and conscious act. You have to take control, and taking control involves responsibility and accepting responsibility and understanding that if something is to happen, then you have to make that happen. It's not gonna happen by itself. You have to put that seed in the ground and do the gardening in your garden to make your garden the best garden it can possibly be. the bottom line is, if you want control, you have to accept responsibility for taking the necessary action steps, and you have to accept responsibility that it's totally up to you to create the results and the change that you want in your life. Difficulties can arise because as human beings we sometimes like it better to diffuse responsibility rather than accept it. It's easier to attribute something that happens, especially if it's negative, to something external to yourself. And it's much harder to accept responsibility for things, because when you attribute something that happens, or something that is, to something external to yourself, you sort of have a cause for it, and you sort of have like, oh, I don't have any control over that, so might as well leave it. No need for me to go ahead and make some changes to that because I'm not in control of it. It relieves us of of responsibility. I think that a lot of times that's what happens with science. We focus on these types of factors like genetics, upbringing, available resources, those types of stuff, all those things in our environment that we don't have any direct control over, or even genetics, that's even totally outside our control in most people's minds. And it makes it real easy to just say like, oh yeah, that did happen, this happened because of that, so I can't do anything about that, and just leave it at that. And yeah, it isn't really that empowering. And the challenge with science is that they usually make a very good case. I mean, they're experts at explaining human behavior, and it makes it so easy for us to accept. Like, if a scientist comes up to us with a good story about how to explain human behavior based upon external factors that we have little to no control over, we just like, yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense, of course. Well, great. Then we no longer have to look at that, and yeah, it sort of relieves us to make a decision and accept responsibility for making a change. And I think that can really hold us back in major ways. So to wrap up this video, I would like to really boil it down to like one core idea that I would really want to communicate with this, and that is that there is a huge payoff in attributing things to external to yourself, because you get this diffusal of responsibility in having to make an effort to change that thing. But the downside is that as a result of that, you feel out of control, and you also can't make a change, which sort of sucks if you want to make a change. So what I would suggest is that you simply look at your life and examine where you use external attributional styles. Where are you attributing the cause of something as something outside of yourself, and therefore you feel out of control, or you feel like you can't do something about that, whereas in reality you may in fact be fully able to change that thing. And I suggest that you think out of the box with this stuff. Don't take anything for granted. If someone says like this is you can't change this because of these external reasons, question it. Why not try it out? Accept responsibility for making that change, and if you fail, well, maybe it was the external thing that was responsible for it, but you can only find that out by first-hand experience, by actually trying to make a change and see if it works or not.